Joining us now is Friederike Fabritius, neuropsychologist and author of The Leading Brain, a book that tries to apply brain science to leadership. We're so happy to have you on. I think a lot of people are always wondering how they can perform at their very top level in the office. What is your book about and what have your studies shown?
Yes, this book is about how you can lead a happier life and also how you can perform better. So it's applying brain science to improve at work, but also outside work. And if you want to have an example of how you can improve your performance, yes, there's a concept that I call the DNA of peak performance. So when you're performing at your best, there's a part of your brain that's called the prefrontal cortex. It's right here at your forehead. And that's what you use for rational thinking and logical processing and all kinds of higher cognitive functions. And that works better when we have three substances in the brain that are released, neurochemicals. The DNA is for dopamine, noradrenaline, acetylcholine. When dopamine is released, we're having fun. Research actually shows that when you're having fun at work, and I'm not talking about the after work party fun, I'm talking that related to the task at hand,
sure,
then you perform better. And when you have the noradrenaline, which is a challenge, you need to be slightly over-challenged, not panicky over-challenged, but just, slightly always challenging yourself a little bit. And then you have the acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is about focused attention. And with all these smartphones and distractions going on, very often people don't focus anymore. So you need the DNA, you need the dopamine, the noradrenaline, and the acetylcholine.
Friederike, is it that people don't necessarily focus anymore, or is that their attention span has become much, much shorter?
Well, research shows that when you multitask a lot, your attention span goes down. So actually, and that's absurd because multitaskers usually think they are especially good at multitasking, and they're not. But I think it's the work environment also, the way people expect you to answer to emails quickly, that just forces you into that.
So are there natural ways to take care of this, to prepare your brain so that it is releasing what it needs to release when it needs to? Sleep probably is one of them, a healthy diet. How do you take care of your brain?
Yeah, I think exercise is the number one. It's very, people used to think that the body-mind connection is a one-way street. So when you're sad, for example, you will make a sad face, or when it will come from your brain to your body. But the other way around, it works as well. It's a two-way road. So when you exercise, your body is, sending signals to your brain you're exercising, and there are, lots of good substances released, like the dopamine flow is enhanced when we exercise. Exercise, sleep, nutrition. But I also think when we're socially happy, the brain is a very social organ.
Yes.
We are very sensitive to how other people perceive us and whether other people like us. Let's say if you gave me strange looks during that interview, I could be in a threat state. And we know that people don't perform well when they're in threat. So if you surround yourself with people you like and that are supportive, that's also a brain booster.
Well, maybe those are things perhaps that you can do in your personal life, but at work, a lot of us, we don't get to pick and choose our colleagues. Luckily, I love Kristen, so it works out just fine for us every day here on the desk. But what can companies do, to your point, if you're not around people that necessarily you love to work with, how can you still have that great brain activity that's going to help you get to that peak performance?
Yeah. I think a key thing is emotional regulation. You need to know how to regulate yourself. And for example, very often people try to inhibit. Let's say you two hated each other and you would spend all day trying to pretend you're friends. That would take away all your resources because you do that with your prefrontal cortex, and we know the prefrontal cortex, as we said, is for logical thinking. So instead of focusing on your interviewing the people, you would just focus on trying to not to show that you hate each other. So what you need to do instead is, instead of inhibiting or suppressing emotions, you need to acknowledge them. So if you tell yourself, it's called effective labeling, it's one little hack. Effective labeling. Instead of saying, I pretend to like her, and do that. Instead, you need to tell yourself, okay, I hate her, I feel uncomfortable, but I'm just going to do it. And then the moment you acknowledge how you feel by saying, I feel uncomfortable, I feel stressed, the amygdala, the part of the brain that's responsible for negative feelings, reduces its activity, and the prefrontal cortex for rational thinking can take up its activity. So the moment you need to acknowledge your feelings, you don't have to say it out loud.
Right. Yeah.
But just by telling yourself, I feel stressed, I feel badly, rather, you would think it would make you feel even worse, right?
Sure.
If I tell myself I feel bad,
Yeah.
it makes it worse. No, it makes it better, because if you stop that inhibition, that suppressing of emotions.
Quickly, are there little exercises that people can do throughout the day just sort of to bring themselves back to this understanding of what exactly is going on in their brain? Do you suggest that maybe every 2 hours or so people take a 5-minute break? What are some of your suggestions?
Yeah, I have one little exercise that I love, because you might have heard of mindfulness. Mindfulness is about changing your brain in a very positive way, about being fully present here and now. And there's this one little exercise, and I know executives don't want to spend 2 hours meditating every day. Nobody would ever do that. So it's called stop. Stop, take a breath, observe, proceed. So you can do that while you're here. You stop for a moment what you're doing. You take a deep breath. That kind of regulates down your stress levels, because we said it's a two-way street. If your body is relaxed, your brain is relaxed. And then you observe and you think, is there something I can do to change the current situation? Could I do something better? Or do I want to proceed? And then you either change or you proceed as before.
All right, Friederike, thank you so much for joining us.
you.
Neuropsychologist and author of The Leading Brain, a book just recently out.
Today is
Today.
actually the launch. Yes.
Congratulations.